Hey, Segovia, back with another one. Make sure you guys watch from start to finish. That really helps the channel grow. But with that being said, let's get into it. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
I've seen stuff come out of people's mouths that was not food. We have a little teacup Yorkie in our house. And my wife and I were channel surfing. And sometimes I'll just stop at something. And it was an occult movie. And they were doing a seance of witchcraft. And in that was an entity called the Hat Man,
which plenty of people have seen,
which is like a 6 foot, 7 foot figure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And immediately when I saw the Hat Man on the TV, I said, oh, I felt a door open in our house.
Mm.
And the dog started barking and growling at the kitchen that the lights were off. And I looked, and for a moment, when I began to turn at where he was barking, I caught it. Just like
that glance, yeah.
Yes, but then when I trained my eyes on it, I couldn't see it anymore.
Gone.
But the dog was, no, it wasn't gone. It was still there. The dog, like all over it, And I said, in the name of Jesus, I close this portal and command you to get out.
Mm.
And I felt it leave, and the dog stopped barking. But the Yorkie wasn't sure that it was gone. And she was still kind of like in a position, like looking, but not growling anymore. Like, where'd it go? Mm-hmm. I said, come on, Daisy, let's go look. And so I walk in the kitchen, and I didn't even turn on the lights, and she's walking with me, looking around. Okay, let's go in the hallway. And she's helping me. Yeah. It was gone. So these shows can open portals in homes.
Bitcoin is going to die. I don't mess with it.
You think Bitcoin is going to die?
Oh,
you touch nothing with crypto.
I don't touch it.
Tell me why you think it's going to.
Well, I just got a call from somebody a couple of days ago and said, "Hey, if you got 25 million, you can make 75,000. I just want to put it inside of an account to do some stuff." And this is a friend of mine, and I was like, "Do you realize that Bitcoin is still based on fiat? It's still and because the dollar is decreasing in its value, because the uncertainty of war around." Nobody wants their money in something that can be wiped out with a push of a button somewhere.
You will not have a mirror in the bedroom where you sleep anymore.
Why do you not like mirrors?
There are lots of reasons. When you look back at Victorian morning period, specifically, you stop your clocks, you cover your mirrors. And why? Because you don't want the spirits to get trapped.
Trapped where?
In the mirror. It's believed it is a vortex that things can come through and things can get trapped in. If you are in a dark room and you're looking in a mirror, if you look long enough, it is said that you can see things moving on the other side.
I've heard this.
And once you know that those things are there, they will notice you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit.
I had a bed that had a mirror on the headboard. I laid down to go to sleep, but I woke up because something slapped me across the face. I was alone.
You think something from the mirror?
I mean, I don't know where else it would have come from. You let something slap you across the face and wake you up and find out.
They killed the giant, and then they airlifted him out by helicopter to Bagram Airfield. And this is where our pilot picks up the story, and he's there to load the body. And so they had to weigh the cargo to put it on the airplane. And the loadmaster weighed it at 1,500 pounds, subtracting the pallet, the air cargo pallet. They knew that the body weighed exactly 1,100 pounds, or approximately, I should say, 1,100 pounds. But they knew that was the weight because that was the weight that was being loaded onto the C-130. 1,100 pounds. So 12 foot tall, 1,100 pounds.
Monster.
And 6 fingers, 6 toes. And then the pilot, after they loaded the cargo, he had to take it to Qatar and unload it in Qatar. And then he told me he heard through the grapevine that the dead giant, ultimately made its way to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base. Now, he didn't know for sure, but that's what he heard.
This is crazy that you're telling me this because I kind of didn't know that either.
Yeah, most 90% of actors tell me that. No, but it's not just you, Vivica. A lot of people didn't know.
Vivica didn't know.
A lot of people didn't know. Dude, you got lots of money sitting there. Some of my guys from Return of the Living Dead, the guy that played in the Street Fight, Andrew Baranowski, big guy. He didn't know. All these guys didn't know.
If the government could tax you for the air you breathe, they do it. Government doesn't like you, and when I mean you, I mean us, the people. They don't want us getting nothing for free. They need a cut of everything we do.
One of the military officers in Brazil, when he grabbed this creature and put it in the vehicle, it scratched him, and he died from a bacterial infection that was never before seen.
God.
And now these doctors are coming forward telling the story. Have y'all heard about this? That's what's really going on in the world.
Damn.
In Varginha, Brazil,
Virginia, yeah.
creatures came there. They stole gold from people. They stole titanium from people. One of them got trapped and was left there. They documented the saucer ship flying, looking for him for 6 hours. Couldn't find him.
They're hyperdimensional entities, spiritual in nature, some of them dangerous, which is just a fancy way of saying demons.
You're trying to get these entities to give you knowledge for alchemy or for power.
Right.
And then, in the early ones, like, give us gold. They're in the, and then, like, give me a kid. And
Always.
And when we say it's spiritual, I forget who said it, but so many times that 200 years ago, a cell phone would be magic or a calculator.
Right.
Magic is just something we don't understand yet.
Right. Sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. Isaac Asimov. It's like
Isaac Asimov, exactly.
Sam?
Well, Sam was tortured. Sam Kinison was really tortured, I thought.
Yeah?
Yeah. Mentally tortured.
Did you work with him?
Yeah.
Just at the store, or did you?
Yeah. He kind of came to Colorado and, helped me go to see Mitzi. Him and Louis Anderson.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that was the Sam you were talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he's mentally tortured. I mean, I saw him do some weird shit at the store.
What?
He did weird shit at the store, right?
I don't know what weird shit he did.
Well, like with guns and drugs and shit.
Well, I know everybody was doing drugs.
Well, everybody was doing that, though.
Right.
Having guns and the cops coming, hanging out with them, snorting coke and fucking
damn the
conjuring
cops
up
hanging out.
Demons and stuff in the green room. They was doing all that kind of shit.
Demons?
They were, praying to Satan and all kind of shit.
That's, I had
a little weird.
I got a call one time, one day, and Kinison was coming to town, and LeBeau.
No, we got a clip coming up later in the show of somebody talking about walking in and seeing Sam Kinison levitating, y'all. So I never knew he was in there doing all that crazy stuff.
Funny person, horrible
Makes sense now.
Yeah, mean, nasty guy.
Yeah,
seems
like it.
And near the end, he was pulling guns on people. And
well, there used to be a bullet hole at the comedy store in the belly room sign that, for whatever reason, some asshole decided to repair. I was so fucking mad.
Oh yeah,
when I hadn't been there in 7 years, and I came back, and the sign was fixed. I go, what did you do? What did you do? That wasn't bad. It was history.
I can't remember if I was. I'm not sure if I put him on the Tonight Show first. I was guest hosting, and I had Sam on one time. He might have been on before that. So I'm not going to try and take credit for that. But he was truly funny, but just really dark. I mean, just nasty. I mean, would just
like how so?
Young comic in the hall, back, just rip him. I mean, way crueler than it needed to be. I mean, it was, and he was brilliant, but it's like when Sam died, it was like, that's almost how he had to go out, because he was so, like, he had that hilarious bit about necrophilia. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Nothing funnier.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your next bit? Okay, you have a thing about screwing dead people. What's more outrageous than this?
Right.
He kept trying to top himself, and he's able to do it, but it just got so crazy. And then it's that thing where you start believing your own publicity, and instead of just showing up as a comic, you now have an entourage,
right?
And everything you say is funny. You can't, as a
you
comic,
lose your perspective.
Yeah, you've got to be able to say to people, is this really funny or not? No, it's not that good, man. Okay, thanks. Like what I was saying about Robin, you had to be able to ask people that question.
That's why Steve Martin quit. Steve Martin quit. He talked about it in his book that he's
Yeah.
just got to a point where just everything he said was funny, and he knew it was wrong.
He was a great guy. Steve is the one that brought Johnny in to see me at the Tonight Show. Yeah. And I was always very grateful for that. You know,
I love Steve Martin.
Oh, he's a great guy.
Always been a
He's a
huge
great
fan.
guy and intelligent guy, thoughtful guy. Really looks at it analytically from an artist perspective. He's really, you know, he's one of those guys, like I said, like Johnny, who looks like a normal person, but they just think unusual and think funny. You know?
Kinison is my favorite example that I use to young comics when I talk about, like, you got to stay the course. Like, you can't, like, once you make it, it's even more hard. Because once you make it, then people require things of you. And you have to look at yourself as objectively and as analytically as you look at the whole world. Kinison was brilliant. In my opinion, he was like one of the best ever, if not the best ever, in 1986.
Yeah.
And then by 1989, he was a fucking shell of himself and was...
Sometimes, if Kinison was around in today's age, judging by what they said, how ugly and nasty he was, he wouldn't be in that Joe Rogan circle. He wouldn't, y'all. Right? They're all hugs, friends, and help each other out, right? Which is not bad, right? But like, that's old school comedy. And you know, when someone speaks bad about somebody now and says, you know, this guy's not funny or whatever, it's like he's bitter. He's just mad because I got this. I got a comedy store and I'm doing better than him. That's why he's mad, and that's why he's saying what he's saying. And
These lava bridges that cross them over, sort of in the same way you get snow bridges over crevasses, but you've got to be really, really careful crossing these, just because you don't know what's solid and what's hollow underneath.
Oh, Alter. Don't do it, you're not Bear Grylls, buddy. Huh? I don't get it. What? Watch the end. Wait.
I was gonna say there's a
does
highway.
have some strange rituals, and one of them you go through a symbolic death, and then they raise you back to life. It actually goes back to the old rites of Osiris in Egypt. The pharaoh had to go through it, where he went through a symbolic death and was raised again. And the conditions are such that if it's performed right, the candidate will have an out-of-body experience. And once they have that out-of-body experience, they no longer fear death, because they know there's more to them than just their physical body, right? And so once you no longer fear death, you know, you're no longer afraid to go out there and say what needs to be said. The archonic forces out there and powers that want to keep people enslaved can't keep that person enslaved anymore. It's like Neo in the Matrix, you know?
I mean, stream fraud's like, it's crazy. I was on a couple different research projects at UMG where we looked into some of these stream farms, especially the ones like, you know, Central Europe and stuff like that. And it's no joke. You're talking about like warehouses of just, you know, cell phones, just streaming like this amount a day. There's a lot of money laundering like happening, you know, things like that. So Spotify is absolutely, you know, taking it as seriously as they can. And every single platform is as well. I think Spotify was getting the most attention for it because I think that's where it was happening the most.
Yeah. Okay, so I know the official reason why they camouflage cell towers as trees, cactuses. They put them on the top of churches. They'll put them in front of community centers. They'll hide them in these things that they actually have, you know, billboards on. Even bricks. You think those are bricks. They're not bricks. I know the official story why they do it, but it can't help make me wonder if there's something else going on as well.
That's exactly what the hell I wanted, honey. That's exactly what the hell I wanted. Which one, the number 7? Oh, I don't know. It's just a chicken sandwich. Could you give me a break, please? No, it's too much. I just want a chicken sandwich. That's all I want. Give them the 99-cent one. Just give me a chicken sandwich. You got a 99-cent one? Don't make it so complicated, y'all. I just want a chicken sandwich. The cheapest one you got. Thank you.
Oh my God.
That's it? Oh my goodness, I think I got enough money for that. $3? Is that enough? There you go, honey. $3. There you go. There you go. Have a nice day. You want a credit card too? Oh my God, here's $5. What are you gonna do with that? Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, dear. Thank you. Well, I just
creepy.
Sure it is, honey. Sure it is. Bye-bye. Whenever I get the chicken sandwich, oh, I don't need that on that garbage. Bye-bye. I smile for respect like that. That's mad rude. You got smile for respect like that. I have respect for everybody. Every color in the world. No, you don't, because you just do that. I sure do, honey. I sure That's not even necessary. I got my red nails, my makeup, my hair. I got respect. I don't need no big cream. Do what? You just said. Hey, you so when that spot if you want to give it to me, baby. No, you should just do that. That's not. I sure did, didn't I? Well, what you gonna do? Have a ride?
They were all
He's gonna
laughing
have
at
one eye.
first.
You've seen the celebrities all over the place. Look at them. The Weeknd, everyone does it. All the biggest people in the industry. They all go like this, and they all go like this.
Prophet Muhammad said he'll have one eye. And what's going to be one of his tools, Sonny Boy?
Artificial intelligence, AI. Just look for yourself. Pop it up if you want. The eye is everywhere.
Right, so I'm absolutely convinced that they're messing with time. Okay, let me show you something. I set this clock when the time changed. I had to move it back, right? So it's 11:45, almost 46,
My clock's
right?
the same.
Now, let me show you something. These clocks I set to the same time, 11:45, almost 46. But when I look at the time on my iPhone, let me see if I have another. Here, use my other phone. Look at this. 23:52. 7 minutes off. And that's within a matter of 6 months. Look at this. 45, 45, 45. Why would I go out of my way to set all these 7 minutes off? I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't. 52. I would do it, maybe 10 minutes, but I would do it ahead. Why would I want to be late everywhere I go? Answer me that.
Why do they sell Americans the shittier, less safe version here? They make a Canadian version of Fruit Loops that they undoubtedly produce in this country, in the US. They already make it, and they already have the formulation for it here, and they ship it up to Canada. And yet the one that they sell here has red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, and BHT. All of those ingredients are not included in their international version of Fruit Loops. When people say like, okay, so they know how to make the better version. They're already making it. They're already selling the better. Why do they sell Americans the shittier, less safe version here? There's two reasons. The first reason, which is obvious, is it's a little more expensive to use natural food colorings than it is to use artificial food dyes that are derived from petroleum.
Blueberry juice, water.
The second reason, where they've acknowledged that natural food colorings are less bright. And when they're less bright, they're less attractive to children.
You're telling me.
I mean, it's money for sure, right? But I think it gets deeper than that, y'all. I think they just, they want us, they have us where they want us, right? We just got word of, I'm trying to be careful with this because magically on the last video I didn't speak of any of these new subjects and the video skyrocketed. When I was speaking on those subjects, video nosedive. So I'm trying to be careful here. But they just mentioned, Nike's on the ground over there. They just said that what's coming up, y'all, in April, NFL draft, y'all, who's ready for that? You know what I'm saying? They just mentioned that. They didn't say we're doing it, but it's on the table. These prices are coming down once we're done with this. We're almost done. Just hang in there. Now they're starting to talk about this stimulus check, right? Perfect timing, right? We're going to give them a little, and guess what? Guess where all that 2,000 is going to go that they're giving us? To gas, back to the oil industry, right? It's a game, y'all. And that's why they put this junk in the food, to keep us so divided and asleep, right? Because once you're eating clean and all that, you start waking up to the nonsense. You start waking up. You start wanting to do things. You start saying like, you know what? I'm going to go out on a Saturday. I'm going to start going to pressure wash some garbage cans. I heard Segovia talk about it. Let me go knock on a couple doors and see if it's this easy to make $100 in 2 hours. You start doing those things when you quit putting those Fruit Loops in your mouth.
that the electrician who goes to work every day and clocks in and works his butt off and tries to earn just enough to be able to, make his rent, maybe have a kid or two, put food on the table, his tax money is being used to buy other people luxury items, cars, yachts, whatever else, and is going to fund terrorism, child.
Yes, sir.
$1 trillion a year on this stuff?
$115 million an
why they
hour.
put the junk in the food, yo.
$115 million an hour. How do they get their hands on it? What are we talking about here? Trends, national organizations, criminal networks? How do they get their hands on this money?
They take advantage of antiquated government systems and processes. They go into programs that they know elected and appointed officials won't touch, and they can steal at scale. They learned a really valuable lesson. Government never runs out of money, and the probability of getting caught is virtually zero.
Let's look at a chicken in the grocery store. You can buy a whole chicken, $8. A raw chicken. You think when it goes rotted, when it starts to rot, if that was your inventory, you'd throw it away? No. Right before it goes rotten, they roast it and sell it to you for $16. Oh, you think that's garbage after that roasted chicken goes rotten? When that roasted chicken is about to go rotten, you know what they do? They chop it up and put curry on it, and it's at that grocery store's buffet. And now they sell it to you for $5 a pound. And they got 8 pounds.
So I park over here on the side
it's the game.
of Walmart, and I park right next to this drain, and I've just looked at it
Got a lot of hate about swallowing
and never thought anything of it. And I park right on the edge of it, and I never really thought of how deep down it went, but I heard a noise come from there. I mean, it had to be there. There was no other place to hear a noise. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I got like a creepy vibe, and I decided to look down there. Look how deep this goes.
Can't really tell.
I mean, that is down there.
Oh yeah, you can.
It's crazy.
Hey, city of Memphis, there's holes like this everywhere. We're like in the middle of the street.
Damn.
Let's just take a look at this.
They didn't even coin the term billionaire until 1900, and there didn't exist any billionaires at that time. So the first billionaire, 1916, was Rockefeller. And at that time, people that we considered incredibly wealthy of the day, Astor, Carnegie, Henry Ford of auto fame, they had 1/10 of the income that Rockefeller had. Okay, fast forward from 1916 to 1960, there's only 10 anywhere in the world. Then from 1960, fast forward to 1982, when Forbes was putting out their 400 richest people, there's only 13. In 1982, there's only 13. Now let's see where we sit today. So that's the period when I was growing up. And so it's true that there weren't a bunch of bazillionaires. That's 13 in the whole world, in the whole wide world. So how many do we have today? Which still in my lifetime, 3,000. So how come for like 100 years, the needle barely moved? In 100 years, you're talking about from 1 to 10 people. And then all of a sudden, it has shot to 3,000 people.
And those 3,000 people own everything, y'all. Everything we're using right now, everything. They own all that. And they're all in the club together, right? None of them really fight each other up there at the top, the billionaires. That's why I say, I think this time, like, the housing market always corrects itself. Back in 2008, even before that, like I've seen graphs of like the 70s, 80s when interest rates were way higher than this, and the price of groceries compared to the price of, what you make at work was like way off, right? But it balanced itself out always. But this time, that was when there was only 13 billionaires, right? So all these stores around, you had the local hardware store, you had the local grocery store, you had the local gas station, you had the local, and there was only one. But now, where I used to live, just in that little square, there's probably like 5 or 6 grocery stores, probably about 10 gas stations. It's not just one no more, right? There's so much greed. People are making so much money. There's 5 McDonald's on in one little neighborhood. They're making so much money that they're not going to let this come back down. There's no way they can. They're not, right? Gas prices, he's saying it's going to come back down. I don't think it's going to come back down. If it comes back down, it's not going to go back down to what it used to be, like $1.99. It's never going to be that. It's going to be at $4 or $5 for so long that we're going to be so happy when it's $3.75. And that's the new mile marker, $3.75. When just, 3 weeks ago, it was like $2.50, right? But it's going to be sitting at $4.50 for so long that when it drops down to $3.50, look, we dropped gas. Gas is low, y'all. You guys happy? Everyone's going to be happy, and they're just going to go on about their day and keep eating those Fruit Loops.
These fake niggas ain't gonna like me, cause a nigga got a flow too real. Shit, I bet they gon' gang up to fight me. But enough of the scams, I'm repping my brand.
A man who was pulled into an MRI machine in New York has died. Police say the 61-year-old was wearing a metallic necklace when he walked into a room where a scan was underway. That's when the machine's strong magnetic force attracted the chain. Police say he had entered the room without authorization.
Y'all look at this next clip.
He was taken to the hospital in critical condition after the incident and died the next day. Experts say an MRI's magnetic force is strong enough to fling a wheelchair across a room.
Look at this next clip, y'all. Imagine having a chain around your neck. Look at what it does to this chain, right? I doubt he was wearing a chain like this, but still, look at this. Look at the power of this. Imagine this on your neck.
So are all those big hats in Catholicism actually hiding big, elongated alien heads? So I watched this crazy documentary last night, and they actually brought that fact up. That maybe the reason that cardinals and popes and all those guys wear those super long hats is they're hiding long alien heads. They have normal human faces, so they can pass like that. But what if they wore ceremonial large hats to hide the whole thing? So on the research I've done, the tall ceremonial hats worn by bishop and cardinals, it's been a part of Catholic tradition for roughly 1,000 years. It's a symbol of authority within the Catholic hierarchy. Or big long hats to tuck your xenomorph-shaped head into. You can look back at pictures of European royal families like the Habsburg, and you can see all these long, elongated heads. But the Habsburgs were for a different reason. They were out there cousin banging. That's what was happening. And in some civilizations, they used to bound the skull when it was still soft to reshape it. I guess when you start thinking about it, if you're an alien race trying to run things quietly, religion would be a fantastic place to hide. But it does kind of get you thinking, because we know the Vatican is hiding a whole bunch of shit in that library underneath it. So maybe they're hiding a whole bunch of stuff underneath those hats too, we just don't know. And remember, y'all, deep dives are coming to YouTube. Same name over there.
JFK was straight gangster. You know what his paperweight was on his desk in the Oval Office? It was half a coconut husk was a distress letter that he carved after PT Boat 109 got rammed in half by a Japanese destroyer. 2 of his men died, and he swam back out and dragged one of his men through the ocean back to a island, holding his uniform in his teeth, broke his back, saving his dude, wrote a distress letter on a coconut, gave it to an indigenous person that lived on this island who delivered it to the U.S. military, and they went and saved him and his men.
What are some jobs AI will take over that you think people aren't expecting?
That's so funny. I gave a TED talk on this. For sure, there will be AI job disruption. I wouldn't study to be a telemarketer right now. Mm-hmm. There's going to be jobs in the future that don't look like real work to us today. A lot more entrepreneurship, a lot more single person companies. You'll probably start seeing single person unicorns like very soon. I don't think we're very far away from that.
Watch this.
Lost the shovel.
What's that? Oh, people are figuring out that sculptures from long ago are actually petrified humans? Tell me more! Yeah, many of these sculptures have had things happen, such as arms getting broken off and things like that, and they're seeing inside of those arms where there's actual bone fragments in there. Okay. Oh, but this gets even crazier because they've actually had arteries with inside of these sculptures rupture and leak out into the petrified matter. So sometimes they actually have to remove the legs and arms from these sculptures just because of that reason. Oh, fuck! This reminds me of a few things recently. The Balenciaga mannequin, which underneath where it's peeling looks like human. What? And then these certain files that were released recently had what looks to be like little petrified humans by the legs of a table. Okay.
And he took Ziggy at the end, and Ziggy wrote about this, and he said, it's all a lie. Jah's not real.
Wow.
To Ziggy, his own son, he goes, I want you to know. And he was very skinny and frail, and he goes,
yeah,
no religion is real. And he said, and this is what he told his son, and you know what he goes, you know what's real? Only love. You don't have to die to figure it out. You don't have to guess. You don't have to guess if there's a red guy with a pitchfork. You don't have to guess if Moses was real. You don't have to guess if Allah is real and the meteorite that hit at Mecca, you touch it, out of the billion meteorites on the planet, Allah said that's the one sent by God. You don't have, none of this matters until they die to find out if that's real or not, right? So you need to understand, this is what I learned from this, right? That if you know that if there's any doubt in your brain at all that you die and that's it, game over, don't worry about it. Worry about that bridge when you cross it. But what you do know that you don't have to doubt or you don't have to have a belief in is that love. Love is real. It's here while you're alive and conscious. And by Bob saying that, I go, geez, man, I never really put love on that big of a pedestal, but I guess it's true because if you really think about it, why are we really here as people? As we wake up every day, we go to work, we get a few things, whatever, as people, right? But love, man, isn't it what we're all kind of searching for in the real sense?
Yeah.
Without it, Frank Sinatra said, you're nobody. And it's true, man. And to have it is the luckiest, greatest thing in the world. Don't take it for granted. But if you have children, the love you have for them, you don't have to die to find out if it's real. You don't have to, you know what I'm saying?
David Rockefeller just had his 6th successful heart transplant surgery at the age of 99. Holy shit, bro.
He's scared to
The
go,
greed
y'all.
on this dude. Aren't you like 99? You sacrificed 6 souls in order for you to stay alive, bro. He does not want to go to hell. He knows exactly what's waiting for him on the other side. And then 6 people gave their hearts for him? That's actually insane, bro. He's dragging it to 106. I don't know how many hearts he's gonna get. But holy shit, bro. Like the greed in this world, bro. This is the greed they talk about in the Bible. Not even Christian, but this is exactly what they're talking about in the Bible, bro. Fucking greedy ass old man, bro. How much longer do you want to live? Like, even the wrinkles on his face, your face is falling off. It's melting. Just wrap it up. Give it up, bro. Like, how many times do you want to reboot, bro? This shit is not a game. You're gonna have to give it up eventually. Kick in the boots, bro. Hang it up. Watch in 10 years, they're gonna invent something to make them live forever, bro. They're gonna be immortal. The Rockefeller family is the most powerful and richest on the planet, bro. They own all the banks. So, I mean, it makes sense why they do all this shit. But to drag it to over 100, bro, are we dead ass? Just let it go, bro. Like, you know what's waiting for you on the other side. I get you don't want to face it, but you're gonna face it eventually. You can't live forever. That's not gonna happen. You have to own up for your crimes.
When was this painted?
1946.
1946. Why would they have these naked ladies in 1946?
Yeah, supposed to be some Greek goddesses.
Oh yeah, the old loophole.
Yeah.
I'm a Greek goddess in the summer.
All right.
Don't tell me to put my shirt on. But I've never seen this before.
Well, what doesn't make sense is 1946, says it right there. The first double-decker aircraft wasn't until 1953. So how they painted this, how do they know? Make it make sense.
I like how you're doing that, Alden. I like what you're thinking there. Yeah, this doesn't make any sense, you know? They knew about the double-decker plane. These are the little things that trip them up, you know what I'm saying? The double-decker plane, and it was painted in 1946. Make it make sense, Rockefeller Center. Let's get into it.
What do you think about the stuff with the latest Olympics opening ceremony? This big pentagram in the middle of it. Or the one prior to that, a mockery of the Last Supper.
Ever see the ceremony for the opening of the tunnel in Switzerland? It was a full-blown ritual to Baphomet. The people that are at the top, the political elite, the financial elite, even people that are in charge of Olympics and that type of thing, they're doing this stuff because they're revealing their belief. They're revealing the method.
They just want everybody to see. They want us all to know that it's real. What is the point?
The point is that demons are showmen, and so they get a certain amount of glory by their stuff being manifest in this life.
See, and those are the 3,000 that run the show. Those are the 3,000, right? That run it. So do you think they're going to let the money come back down, the prices of things come back down to better our lives? Why? We're going along with it now. Why would they bring it down? We're okay with it now. Yeah, we get on here and make a rant about it, but really we ain't doing nothing about it. We're still paying every day on the first. So why would they bring it down? You know what I mean? We'll bring it down 25 cents, but we ain't gonna bring it back down to, $4 back down to $1.99 like it was. We ain't doing that. We'll bring it down $1, y'all. And but you guys are still paying for it. So why are we gonna bring it down? Why are we gonna lower these taxes? Why are we gonna not raise your electric bill? Why are we not gonna raise your water bill? Right? We get into that on my second channel down below, y'all. Segovia After Dark. Anybody that wants to know, that's my second channel.
It was really good.
Yeah. What is it?
Well, no, don't tell us.
Why not?
Because every time in my life that I've tasted something great but I didn't know what it was, it turned out to be something really disgusting that had I known what I was eating, I never would have tried it in the first place.
Okay, I give. What is this? Pancreas. Okay.
I give. What is this? Pancreas.
What has that got to do with this show? Now, I did a little bit of research, and apparently one of the directors says it was a reference to a certain soy green. You know what film I'm on about? And it was just a bit of a joke. However, I know some of us are not buying that. I've never really watched this show, but a lot of my followers in the comments have told me that this show is riddled with this type of stuff. So if you have any other references that you've seen, please feel free to share them in the comments so we can look into them. But once again, just another...
What happens if the government issues digital currency?
There will be no privacy, and it's a very effective controlling mechanism by the government. All the transactions will be known, all transactions done with digital currencies, which is good for illegal activities, getting control of illegal activities, but it also means that the government has a great deal of control. For example, they can tax that way, they can take your money, they can establish foreign exchange controls. Let's say if you're a Frenchman and they wanted to have sanctions, they could take your money.
And if you're politically disfavored, you could be shut off.
Politically disfavored, you could be shut off, yes.
Well, vampires are real in the occult. Dracula is a more modern type of the literature that's going to hold the belief system and their history within it. So you have Dracula, for example, as a son of a dragon. It goes back to Greek for Dracont and Draconta, which means watcher, as in watcher angel. The giants, both before and after the flood, and secret societies probably at the adept level even today would drink blood. And they were drinking blood to extend their life after Genesis 6:3, shorten all lifespan to 120 years. And they also used it secondarily to provide additional cognitive abilities. They preyed on humans not only to eat them before the flood, but to drink their blood. And then after the flood, they had to do things a little bit more in secrecy, as they were needing humankind to survive because they had a fertility issue after the flood.
We're going even further down the black hole of ghost stories told on talk shows. And I got led to this one, so let me know what y'all think.
Yeah, this is where people die. Like, there was a shootout here.
Mm-hmm.
This guy jumped off the roof of the Hyatt. He landed right here. Mm-hmm. These are things that are real. This is where you find the ghosts. Gus. There's Gus the ghost.
You would make a really good tour guide.
What?
What's that story? Gus the ghost.
You don't know Gus? Oh, guys. Gus is a ghost that haunts the Comedy Store. He's our buddy.
Oh, he's friends with you.
No, he's evil.
Why would you say he's your buddy?
He's broke a guy's spine.
Wait, what?
Pete Gray. Their Comedy Store in the 50s used to be called Ciro's. It was a nightclub. It was mob run. Apparently this guy named Gus, who was a mafia guy, he got killed there. And then his ghost haunts the Comedy Store. And when Carl LeBeau and Sam Kinison, they were called the Houston Boys, and Bill Hicks as well, when they came down from Houston to the Comedy Store, Sam and Carl didn't have any money, so they slept on the main room stage. They would sneak in the club and sleep there. And Carl told me personally that one night he was awoken to Sam being levitated by his ankle upside down off the ground on the main stage while he was sleeping. Jeez. And he was dropped. And Carl told me about Gus times. And then...
What does Gus look like?
He's got a top hat, a yellow suit, top hat, faceless.
What era?
50s.
Oh, the 50s.
Yeah.
No, so I know, but the top hat in the 50s?
It was like not a top hat. It was just like a mafia hat.
Oh, like a shorter one.
Yeah, short one. Okay. And then there was this guy named Pete Gray who was a comic there in the 90s. He was a doorman, and he was in the belly room, and he did a good spot. And he was walking down the green room and then the showroom. There's a little hallway there. You know the hallway?
Yeah.
And he was levitated. His head hit the ceiling, and he broke his spine.
What did Gus have against Pete?
Pete was shifty.
Oh.
And then me and Johnny Sanchez saw Gus one night. We had a gig in Bakersfield. This is in the late 90s. And I left my truck in the parking lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then Johnny drove us to the gig. We came back. It was like 4 a.m. And then we both were talking, and then we looked up at, I don't know why, but at the top window. And we saw a man up there, his hands on the glass, but had no face and a top hat. And he was just peeking down at us. And then we looked at each other, we screamed, we looked back up, it was gone. And then that was Gus.
And you both saw it.
Yeah, Johnny and I will both talk about it, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of crazy stories out there about that comedy store, y'all. There was a lady, she stayed the night there, right? She slept, and she got woken up to like ballroom music, and then she peeked her head up, and there was like figures like ballroom dancing, like kind of like anyone that's been to Disneyland and you go on the Haunted Mansion, and it's the part where they're all dancing and they got the crazy suits on and all that. That's what she says she saw there, y'all. And then Bobby Lee was saying he saw them doing a seance, trying to like talk to a demon and crazy things, y'all, in Hollywood. You know what I mean? Crazy things in Hollywood that we all know about.
So it's this theory that when we be on our phones, it be flashing for some reason and scanning our brains or whatever the case may be. I don't know, but I just seen it. Look at that.
Looks like a ghost.
And I'm live at work right now, and I just seen it. That's so crazy to me. What is that? Hold on. What is that?
It looks like a zombie. Look at him.
I don't know what that is. We be on our phones, and it just be flashing in our face if we can't see it. This is wild, yo. I'm not gonna lie.
70% of kidney stones are caused by plants, not by eating meat, not by drinking beer. The worst offenders, spinach, kale, beets, almonds, raspberries, and sadly chocolate. When you eat foods high in oxalate, they form razor-sharp microscopic calcium crystals.
I think the greatest secret out there is that the history that we've been taught about evolution, about development of humanity, it's all fake, okay? So we have about 10,000 years of human history. That's it. But we know that we Homo sapiens have been around for about 200,000 years, okay? That's the best estimate. So what were we doing for the rest of this time? Okay, that's a question that science has never really answered for us. Okay, that's point number one. Point number two is that we have some archaeological sites that are close to us. Okay, so Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. Okay, Göbekli Tepe, Turkey, Tepe in Turkey. We've only uncovered 5% of all of it. And we have, and so why we haven't uncovered the rest of it? It's not about money issue. It's because the truth will destroy the traditional narrative. Then you have the Amazon in Brazil.
So he's saying they have recovered all 100% of it, but they're only telling us 5% of it, right?
And how we're discovering how these ancient civilizations existed in the Amazon before, and also these ancient civilizations were the ones who actually created the Amazon. Because the Amazon itself is not an organic creation; it was a man-made creation. So if you do, I mean, like if you just work from first principles, what you recognize is that we've probably had civilizations before this, okay, that were destroyed in the Great Flood, okay, or what was technically called the geomagnetic excursion, the magnetic pole excursion, which is say that the magnetic poles, the north and south, they switch every 6,000 years, okay. And when you do that, you change the geography, the topology of the Earth. You cause massive floods. you cause climate change, and these civilizations were destroyed. So we are not part of the first civilization. Okay. Another thing is the pyramids, the Egyptian pyramids. We are not able to create the Egyptian pyramids using the technology that we have today. Okay. It's incredible to think about how, we have the most advanced spaceships and computers, but we're not actually able to recreate the pyramids because we don't have the technology. All right. So I think it's safe to say that there have been other civilizations before us that were also advanced, but in a different way. Okay, maybe rather than focus on the material, they were focused more on the spiritual. That's my little boy. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi. Want to say hi?
Ni hao.
All right. Yeah.
That's racist.
Anyway, yeah. So
He speaks English,
I think that's a
motherfucker.
great secret that the elite refused to allow us to understand. Even Epstein was spending a lot of time looking for Atlantis, right? And so the elite understand that there have been past civilizations before, and they spend a lot of time and resources looking for these past civilizations. So what was Stephen Hawking doing on Epstein Island, right? Well, he was part of this search for these lost civilizations. So the elite understand this. But it's the greatest secret that they want to keep from us because it will destroy everything, okay? Once we understand that there have been past civilizations, everything goes out the door, including evolution, including this material conception of the universe, okay?
Now, it'll destroy everything for them. It won't destroy it for us, right? It's going to wake us up more and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. It's going to destroy everything for them, for the powers that be, right? That's what it'll destroy. They're not doing it for the betterment of us, so they don't scare the living crap out of us. They're doing it for the betterment of themselves, so they can keep controlling us, so they can keep taxing us, so they can keep feeding us freaking Fruit Loops. That's a little code word we're using here now for them, how they're keeping us asleep, y'all. Fruit Loops.
I'm in line getting gas at Costco. Because in case you haven't heard, this just happened to oil. And it's never happened before. On Monday, March 2nd, oil was as low as $65.99 a barrel. 6 days later, today, Sunday, March 8th, oil prices have hit $111 a barrel. In case you were wondering, yes, that is the biggest, fastest rise in oil in its history. Share this with someone that needs to know it.
This is the city where everyone's like, let's see if we're on the ground floor. They're never on the ground floor. Spoiler alert. Speed does the same thing. He's like, guys, I think we made it to the ground floor. And then his friend is like, look over the railing. They're on the 50th floor. I don't understand this.
Wait, what?
I don't understand how the city is set up. There is a residential building where the subway drives through the building.
Because the whole city is like mountains. So everything is built on top of different mountains. So there's like a tons of different layers. There's like different dimensions. Does that make sense? So it's like you think you're on this ground floor, but you're just on this mountain's floor. And then it will drop down to all the way down there. So the whole city is like a mountain.
I had heart palpitations and it got so bad that I couldn't walk from one side of the room to the other side of the room without being short breath. Your heart runs on electric currents. And mine was like beating like this. Weird, right? Anyway, I passed out in the shower, went to the hospital. They were like, man, we're going to have to put a, what's the thing? What is this, the shot?
Pacemaker.
We're going to have to put a pacemaker in your heart, or we can cut half of your heart open, scar it, and the electric currents will run through the scars. Man, I went to this doctor who's actually my doctor now in Michigan, one of the best doctors in the world, Dr. Brownstein. He gave me magnesium and a couple other things. He was like, make sure you take this magnesium. I go back a week later, or like a week and a half later, to get prepped for the surgery that we couldn't afford. They test my heart and they're like, oh my God, your heart's fine. They diagnosed me with the whole disease. They diagnosed me and said my heart, I had a diseased heart. And then when I got tested again, they were like, oh, your heart's really healthy. You have a strong heart. And I couldn't believe
how different.
I told them, like, all I did was take this. I told them, like, I took the magnesium, and they were like, no way. That's impossible. But it's like, people got to open their minds up a little bit more, right? And just, all of us. I've had to open my mind up so much in my life.
Yeah.
But, I
love hearing you talk about this stuff.
Yeah.
You ready to have your mind blown? Did you know that your TV is actively taking screenshots every half second. So that's 2 per second, right? Times 60, which is 120 per minute, times 60 minutes, which is actually 7,200 photos per hour. What is it doing with those? It's sending them to the company so they can review whatever you're watching on your TV. If you don't believe me, go to the search bar just right now. Try this. Type in TV taking screenshots. Try this. Legitimately. Watch the first couple of videos. They're doing a lawsuit right now. This is serious because they're watching every single thing that you're doing on your TV, including like if you plug in HDMI on your laptop and you're streaming video games, absolutely everything. 7,200 photos per hour, which I calculated is roughly between 3 to 10 gigabytes per hour that you're watching your TV, that it's draining from your data. And you wonder why your internet's slow. Go ahead, type it in. Have your mind blown. Share it with your friends and family. People need to know about this. And follow the lawsuit, because you'll probably end up getting money from this, because this is unacceptable on so many levels.
My mother's a savage.
Jeez.
She just finished her 4th book, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah, she's written 3 bestsellers after 80.
That's incredible.
She's out of control.
That's incredible. So she was like, she wanted you to do something impressive.
My mother wrote every day for 60 years.
Wow.
No agent, no, got published in like the News American and the Baltimore Sun, you know, local stuff, some horse magazines. We were horse people kind of growing up. And her dream was to write.
Late.
She finally got a book deal when she was 80.
Never too late.
Went to a number 4 bestseller.
Wow.
And everything she's written so far. So that's recently. Back in whatever it was, 2001, she was just a pain in my ass. And she called me to say, you know, wouldn't it be great if your granddad, this guy whose shadow I grew up in, you know, could see you doing something? Because like my pop, he'd seen the opera. He'd seen QVC. He'd seen every godforsaken infomercial. He'd seen... You know, I'd done a lot of things, probably 200 jobs in the whole freelance world.
Pineapple is the worst fruit that ever was made.
Really?
Beside kiwi. Pineapple was made from scratch. Pineapple would eat up.
You just can't eat nothing no more. You can't drink
Every
water.
disaster. You know that. I'm not a big conspiracy guy, but you know that there's video and film, you know, photos, conclusive of the Pillsbury Doughboy at 9/11, Titanic sinking, Oklahoma City bombing, Chernobyl.
That's why the Doughboy looks the way that he does. He was too close.
I'd say that Chernobyl was kind of in the middle of some of those. So yeah.
We're at the location of the giant door in Courtsville, Oregon. I want to say thank you for 2,000 followers, TikTok. There it is.
Yeah, it looks like a door, y'all.
This is the same door that's gone viral for saying that it's opened, and the giants come out of it, waved and said hi, and all of the white vehicles and government trucks and stuff like that. It's interesting how there's a pull-out, and this giant door is labeled on
Beautiful
Google
out
Earth,
there.
Google Maps. It's kind of raining out here today.
Beautiful.
I'll show you more that's here by the giant door. It's taking you on a virtual hike, a virtual walk of this place, because there's a lot going on here. There is more than just the door. There's more than just that threshold, that gateway. For one thing, it's starting to rain right now as I'm just making this video. And I talked before about how there can be different forms of communication with when you say to somebody, I hear you and I see you, or when you say, I feel you. And another thing that's interesting is somebody lost their life here. So when you have this passageway and you have this passageway, what does that mean? And then we come up here to all of this view, because I know that Bigfoot is out there somewhere. Whether he's behind that giant door or behind that pyramid over there, he's out there. Because when you see all of that unexplored territory, the clouds,
This makes
and the
me
mist,
happy.
and the mountains there. You know, he's out there somewhere watching us. He is the watcher.
You've been waiting 13.8 billion years to drive back
to work every day. Thanks for all the fish.
You know, the other day I found something, man, it gives me goosebumps. I was looking in my office, and I cleaned out one of my desk drawers I haven't cleaned out in probably 15 years or more. And I pulled out a check that Ron Jeremy wrote for Little Smiles. It's my charity for terminally ill kids that I do here in Palm Beach. I've raised $2 million a year for this charity. And he came out one year and says, I really love what you're doing with these children, and I want to donate some money. I never cashed the check. I forgot. I left it in my drawer. And I'm still associated with all the Little Smiles. And I sent a picture to Chip, the guy who owns Little Smiles, with me. And I was like, look what I found in my drawer, a picture of Ron Jeremy donating money for a charity, Little Smiles. I said, you know what? Out of all, I don't know what happened with him and all of this weird stuff. It all went down during that Harvey Weinstein time, and everybody, you know, and going down. And then I hear Ron Jeremy, and I don't know, man. It's weird because why would a porn star rape anybody getting all that pussy his whole life, you know? It made no sense. I couldn't, and I knew him from living with him, you know, surreal life for like 2.5 months. So, I mean, I knew the guy.
Damn,
I could never see him doing that or anything. And he was
Forgot
as
about
weak
that.
as anything you could ever see. Like any girl could probably whip his ass. I mean, like seriously.
Right, he was overweight.
He was
short.
such a wimp, man. Like the biggest, how could he, it doesn't make sense to me. And I'm just calculating it in my brain. But I don't know anything. No disrespect to anybody. It's just me kind of pondering, but I don't know. Poor guy ended up like that. That's pretty. Ugh.
Did you hear when that guy said that he deleted social media because he saw the top of Mount Everest? He said that he saw the top of Mount Everest from another person's post, which ultimately made him delete Instagram because he didn't deserve to see the top, because he didn't climb the top. And there he was experiencing a very miraculous moment without any work, someone else living their reality, which makes you realize this is exactly what's happening with everybody else. You are seeing somebody else's Mount Everest. You're seeing their highlight reel. You're seeing all these things that they have done, are trying to do, usually all their accomplishments. And it makes you compare your life, where they traveled, what they're eating, their family. It makes you think that that's how life is supposed to be. And if it's not that, then you are somehow behind or failing. I feel like I often fall into this trap, especially in business, because then I naturally compare my business or my accomplishment to someone else. It just ruins your day instead of you being happy in the moment. I don't think social media is truly the problem because it has helped so many people in so many different ways. However, it is a problem to compare your life to somebody else's when you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And I think the only way to avoid comparison is just to be stricter with our boundaries and stricter with stopping your thoughts and realizing that you will live a great life, and that if you want to achieve something like that, you can. You'll just have to work towards it, and not to compare yourself and almost feel sad that you're not there, or that you didn't do that, or that you haven't accomplished that. Is seeing somebody's accomplishment really enough for you to delete social media?
But you've seen those like privacy screen protectors people put on their phones sometimes, where if you put it at an angle, it's pitch black. Those are kind of annoying because they like ruin your screen usually. This is built into the phone. You can turn on privacy display. When I tilt it off axis, it blacks out the phone. Not only is it very effective, but you can customize exactly how it works. So you can have it black out the whole display, or you can have it only black out certain apps, or you can only have it black out password fields and notifications. It's very effective.
Pretty dope, y'all. I got that phone. I got the new S26 Ultra. I made the switch from Apple. I figured I do Google now, right? I kind of work for Google with YouTube. And the iPhone would give me so much trouble when I'm looking for clips, you know, when I'm trying to find like my little LLC and all that. Y'all, I got this Monday. This has been a freaking game changer, y'all. But you can't do the privacy screen. I had it set up for everything, but then I found out, I watched a video, and you can do it for certain apps. You can do it for when you're on your bank, when you're putting in PIN numbers, when you're putting in codes. It's pretty dope, y'all. This is a dope phone. I'll probably always be Android now. I was Android, went to iPhone, went back to Android, and then back to iPhone from there. And I said, I'll never go back to iPhone, or to an Android. But now that I'm doing this, you know, YouTube stuff, this phone's freaking crazy, y'all. It's a trip.
7 people
that should be in their early 40s with a career and a family and something. 47 people have died of suicide or overdose that were my friends. Like, not people that I knew about, not people who were in the industry. So many more people than that, but people that I knew and sat across from tables and knew their real names.
Yeah.
And when they die, their PR group says, this is how many scenes they did. This is what they were known for. And oh yeah, and their AKA is their real name.
Are there ever any conversations or discussions internally about how dark you feel or low you feel? Like 40 some people are taking their lives or overdosing. Are there ever combos about like, something's not right? You know what I mean?
There's so many people that want to leave the industry. Everyone on that list, I said, you know, there's 40 plus people. Many of them left the industry. Like my friend Cagney, she left the industry. She bought a dance studio and she wasn't running it. Just dance was something that was important to her when she was a child. And she bought a dance studio in Ohio where she grew up. But then someone got wind of who owned it. And they started blasting their Facebook and Instagram page and calling the parents like, don't you know who owns this? Even though she wasn't doing what she used to do anymore, she couldn't get away from who she was. She posted on Instagram this picture of her on the beach smiling. And she said, I can finally smile. And then she went to her hotel room and shot herself. Oh, and that story is horrific and heart-wrenching, but that's hundreds of other people's stories.
You know, I'm thinking of even reaching out to some companies, you know, for a little sponsorship, right? Because there's a lot of companies I believe in, y'all. I get a lot of emails, you know, from so-called sponsors. 99.9 of them are scams and they want to hack your YouTube, y'all. That's why you see people that say my YouTube got hacked. Well, they clicked on a link of a sponsorship, probably in their email or something. So I kind of reach out to companies, haven't really got no love back, but you know, I've been looking into like, you know, online therapy places, you know, survival type places, you know, pocket knife type places, just reaching out to those type of companies, y'all. And I'm probably going to get a lot of people saying you're a sellout, you're this and that. Like, you would rather have YouTube give you an ad than me put an ad. Like, if I put an ad in here, I would take one of YouTube's out. Like, I would replace it with that. You know what I mean? So, you know, but like at the end of the day, this is how we make our living, y'all. This is, you know, to throw a couple ads in. It's crazy that people wouldn't support that. Like, I always get scared if I would do that over here because, you know, I know people think that's like a sellout. Like, I'm not going to come on here and, you know, have an ad for gambling, right? You know, like a gambling company reach out. Like, it's not gonna, I would never do something like that. It's gonna be something I believe in, something I use, you know what I mean? But, you know, I'm sure I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that. But anyways, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. You made it this far, you know what to do. Leave a like, comment, subscribe. My second channel, y'all, I get a lot of comments of people asking, what is my second channel? The link, always look at my description, y'all. I got my email down there. You know, I took off TikTok. I took off my Instagram because I don't post over there. When I post on TikTok, it's not for TikTok. It's for these videos. Like, I screen record it because they don't allow downloading that video. So I'll screen record it, upload it to TikTok, and then I'll download it and put it on the video. So I don't really use TikTok. So I took that off. I just got my email. And my second channel, y'all. My second channel is Segovia After Dark. We do the TikTok themes. We don't do these conspiracy things. Don't go over there with the conspiracy mindset, y'all. This is the different side of me over there, right? We talk a lot about business, debt. We talk a lot about, you know, influencers going broke. We talk a lot about Americans moving abroad, or people from abroad coming to America for the first time. A lot of fun, different type of TikToks. So if you're interested, go check it out, y'all. Segovia After Dark. But this is Segovia, signing out of the Man Cave. I'm going to see you guys on the next one. Later.